while some paintings are meant to be just the way they were, there's times when an artist just can't resist. That one that's been sitting there staring at me for, 4 years. No kidding. I really dig the whole sort of neutral tone way of making a painting. But I've been to this place and I've experienced it many times in person. And I think that this painting can speak with a louder voice. Not a yelling voice, but a voice that is, well, a little more present than it was. So, first of all, let me tell you where this is. Truly about 4.5 years ago, and many times before then, and many times since then, I have traveled to the North Shore of Lake Superior. There are so many sights that you just cannot accomplish it all in one trip. It's truly a destination that will bring you back time and time again over your entire lifetime. And along the way, on that beautiful Highway 17, there's a little town. If you don't watch for the signs, you're gonna miss it. Because it's not right along the highway. In fact, it's off the highway. And that sign that says Marathon, you better pay attention. Because missing it will mean missing some of the greatest views and vistas along the North Shore of this magnificent Lake Superior Drive. Now, when you go down there, you will find yourself in the middle of a little town. It's so small, in fact, you'll look around and ask yourself, what am I doing here? In fact, from the town itself, it really doesn't offer any views. The town is just a little ways away from the shore. And you probably might even have to ask someone to tell you what is the best way to get down by the water. I just know that there's this little park, and you access it between two small buildings. But if you take that little park drive, you'll end up down at the bay, and the bay looks south and westward out onto the spectacular body of water that is Lake Superior. Now, to the left, there's a big island, and to the right, way off in the distance, there's another island, and in front of it, well, it looks like an island, but it's peninsula. It's part of the land, and as those points recede, they fade into the mist. By the way, that farthest point out there, that's Pick Island. And if that sounds familiar to you, yes, that's the place where a few iconic Group of Seven paintings were inspired. Now, I usually pick a little spot along that waterfront, right there just outside of Marathon a little bit. And I like to take a few photographs. Then, once I've got my sort of bigger picture captured on digital or film. Then I like to break open the canvas and the paint box and the little palette. Everything happens right outside the back of my van. Is just the most wonderful little setup. Open the back door and there it all is. And if it's raining or if it's overcast or whatever, I can stay inside my vehicle. But if it's not, I can get my little chair out and just prop it up on the ground and start to paint. Such was the case with this beautiful view of Marathon Bay. Now, when I first painted this painting, it was part of a series, and the other paintings were all quite, well, colored like this one. But I painted this one in a foundational black and white, gray tones, neutral tones, and I left it that way. In fact, I've left it that way for 4.5 years, and I just keep feeling that it's calling to me for something more. It's different from the other paintings. It has its own unique voice, but it wanted just a little bit more than the plain black and white that it was. Those were spooky vibes, and I really didn't care for it. It's taken this long to come to a place that I believe I know what it needs. Now I'm just tapping a little bit of ultramarine with titanium white into the sky there. And down in the lower part is a cerulean blue. I like those variable shades in the sky, and the reason why is because it keeps it interesting. We've all seen paintings of skies that are pretty flat, one color from top to bottom. There are some cases where that's warranted, but in this case, I really want to create zones in the sky, and I really want a real fine experience of depth. We see that in the land masses on the right hand side, but I wanted to use the sky and the water to really drive the depth home. The feeling of distance. That Pick Island out there, it's a lot farther than it looks. Now, I just know someone's going to comment about the dark water. So let me talk to you about that. In numerous of my paintings, let me say that properly, I feature really dark water like that. Because for me, I don't want it to become the story. I do want it, though, to be a foundation. And to keep it from looking too gloomy or ghostly, I'll put a few little sparkles down there, as you can see. And to create the feeling of close and far, I'll use the different shades or the different values. So that's what happened in this case. That's what happens in a lot of my little paintings. I really want the bottom to be a foundation, a platform, shall we say, for the real show that's going on up there in the sky. Well, I think it's starting to feel better now, saying a little more what I intend for it to say. I'm just putting a little bit of titanium white to reinforce the clouds as well against that blue sort of sky and lower cloud foundations. And there's a little bit of vermilion in those clouds up there as well. Once again, that just adds to the happiness. Oh, and what's this? Something you don't see very often in my oil paintings, but I'm just going to put a few little seagulls in there as well. After all, there's plenty to chew on just beneath the surface of the water. And they know it. But they make the painting feel very, very spacious. Yeah, that feels right. Well, this feels right too, and I want to thank you for dropping in. You can purchase this painting. The contact information is coming up. If you would, please like and subscribe. We're on our way to 2,000 subscribers, if you can imagine that. And drop in at robertmcaffee.com. Listen, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.